This is the Nvidia 1 month overview reading for the month of January 2025. It's currently January 3rd, 2025, 10:22 p.m. Eastern Time. Nvidia at the time of this reading, $144.47, that's USD. The shuffle video for the January reading was created on February 5th, 2024 at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time. That's right, almost a year ago today. Like literally we've been playing catch up like all of 2024 basically, aside from like 3 months out of the year. It was catch up the whole year. We never got back to January, but thankfully we had this file like to help us kind of start to get ahead again. In any case, if you're new to the channel, what we're going to go over is the overall trend direction for the month of January. We're going to talk about the chart behavior around the month's highest high and the month's lowest low. We're going to give you one of the best trades that we see at the very end of the video. But before we give you that trade, we're going to go through the day-by-day chart behavior sequence of events as expected throughout the month of January. It's important to understand not each card's energy will necessarily line up perfectly with 1 day of time. So what you want to pay attention to first and foremost, is the sequence of chart events as outlined by the prediction. The timing is usually right on point, but there will be cases where the timing is off as much as like 2 days sometimes. I consider that a bad reading. It does happen sometimes, but the sequence of chart events remains pretty much on point, like 100% accurate for the most part. There's seldom is it not 100% the sequence of events. Anyhow, that's what you want to pay attention to. And if you're actually looking to trade this information, I highly advise against trading this information without access to our live Discord trade alerts and live updated trading view charts. All of that stuff is game-changing services that are all part of the subscriptions. I'll show you how to get at the end of the video if you're interested. All right, so let's get into it. So we've got a lot of price change in January. Wow. A lot of price change in January, especially to the upside, especially mid-month. It's hard. Let me see. What we're successfully doing is establishing support on a multi-day scale. Whether that's to the upside or the downside, it still remains to be seen a little bit. It actually looks like there's support near the low that we establish, and then we establish a higher support towards later part of the month. We're going to look at that in more detail as we progress. The success card is crossed with a rally increasing with momentum moving forward in time, at least 1 point throughout the month of January. And that's on a multi-day scale, just like everything in this reading, unless otherwise specified. When I say resistance, support, big move, all those things, I'm talking about on the scale of a 1 month chart with 1 day candlesticks unless otherwise specified. So behavior around the highest high for the month, we have bearish price swings and or a sharp drop out of the month's high. Behavior around the lowest low for the month, we have a big move to the upside, pushing the upper end of a range higher on a multi-day scale. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're pushing the highest high of the month higher. It just means that there's like some sort of range there, an important range, and we should see us push like through the upper end of that to reach a higher, at least temporarily, with that move being out of the low. So we've already got, being that it's the third, we've already got a little bit to go on, and my sense is that based on what's transpired here, guys, we have the second is the dotted line. Right, first trading day of the month, and then we have this big move to the upside on the second day, on the third. So what I see here is there was, out of a decline, a big move higher, ending the decline. That was on the second. Right, that's that Knight of Cups. But the signification to the highest highs, obviously the third has been a higher day. So my sense is that as far as the timing of the highest high, we're probably seeing the highest high on the third. And I think it's there's a very strong possibility, based on the fact that we went higher on the third, that we're going to have a significant move to the downside over the weekend into a prominent trough. And then it'll be like when we decline over the weekend, it'll be like significant on a multi-day scale, and we'll revisit a support level that was recently a past opportunity. On the 6th, we have a period of volatility and a sharp drop that'll stand out in that period of volatility. There also should be at least a bit of a rally increasing with momentum moving forward in time at some point on the 6th. I don't think that's going to hold very long because we've got another prominent low on a 1 month scale there on the 7th. Towards the end of the day, we should have a big move. I think it's probably plus or minus a day here as well. But there's a prominent trough here on the 7th, and then towards the end of the day, a peak that forms from a breakout into a peak that'll be prominent on a 1 month scale there towards the end of the day on the 7th. We decline from that peak into a significant trough on the 8th, and then looks like towards the end of the day on the 8th, there's a low for the day there and a significant trough on a 1 month scale. And then I'm advised to be very cautious on the 9th. Some sort of tricky chart behavior. It looks like multiple reversals going on. Multiple reversals going on there, attempting to establish support. I think overall we probably the chart behavior probably confirms a bullish trend, which takes us into the 10th, where we should see a lot of bumping along resistance, sideways kind of bullish behavior, bumping up against resistance. Often with the Valor card, you'll break through resistance and then continue bumping, maybe even break through it more than once. But it looks like significant bullish momentum towards, like, as we move forward into the end of the day there and the end of the week on the 10th. On the 11th, there's an important technical price level on a 1 month scale, probably on a 1 year chart scale, highlighted in the morning. Looks like we decline to and through that price level to meet another support level, and then we rotate sideways along that support towards the end of the day or on the cusp of the 13th, 14th. We likely retrace back to where we fell from the beginning of the day on the 13th. There's kind of flat behavior on the 14th. There's a resistance level on a multi-day scale highlighted. It looks like we rally into it, and then we turn around and we break back down, almost like a full retracement out of it. On the 15th, a crest forms when a rally turns over, turning into a notable decline into a trough, like a notable decline out of that crest on the 15th. Like it turns over on the 15th, probably starting the decline on the 15th, taking us into probably early to midday prominent trough on a 1 month scale in early to midday on the 16th. Oversold territory, we have a big move out of it. And then there's an important support level on a 1 year chart scale highlighted on the 17th. Usually, when you see the Emperor card, it can be relied upon, but not always the case. On the 20th is... Oh, you know what? The 9th, there's no trading. They made a new like day off on the 9th, from my understanding, due to, I believe it's President Jimmy Carter's death. Rest in peace. So that may be very well what that devil card is about. But in any case, then we've got the 20th, I believe that's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Yeah, the 20th. On the 21st, we have a prominent peak, probably towards the end of the day. There's a failed attempt to break through resistance, followed by a decline through key support. And it looks like we probably return, we like decline from that resistance through support, and then we probably return on the 22nd back to that resistance or close. I'm advised not to chase a rally early in the day on the 22nd. There's a lot of price change, and it looks like there's a peak later in the day that's around the same price level as the peak, the rally. We rally into a peak early in the day on the 22nd. There's another peak later in the day on the 22nd, most likely around roughly the same price level. And there's probably a lot of price change in between. From that second peak, we declined really notably. into the 23rd. And either on the 23rd, out of that decline, there's a big move from the bottom of the range to the top of the range, or it starts maybe on the cusp of the 23rd, 24th, where out of the decline, there's a big move from the bottom of the range to the top of the range into the 24th. So it's one of those two paths. It could be a big move to the bottom of the range to the top of the range on the 23rd, or it could be like continuing into the 24th. But the rally on the 24th offering some significant trade opportunity. I'll talk about in the paid version, in the monthly access version. And then on the 27th, we have a brief peak that's easily missed, followed by a decline through key support. A decline through multiple supports, I should say. Breakout to the upside on a multi-day scale on the 28th in the midst of a rally, increasing with momentum moving forward in time. Excuse me, guys. Apologize for the lack of editing here. On the 29th, a notable, one of the biggest moves of the month to the upside, early in the day on the 29th. Rally turns over either on the 29th or it continues. It probably turns over on the 29th, and then there's another, like a sideways fluctuating rally on the 30th that precedes a decline, which either starts towards the end of the day on the 30th or it starts on the 31st. The sneak preview for February, we have a rally into key resistance on a one-year chart scale that we then decline from with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down. And those spikes up will usually meet moving averages as resistance. Excuse me, guys. I'm so sorry. All right, so we're going to take a look at December, see how we did. I don't think it was quite our best month. We did do pretty solid with the entry and exits here at the early part of the month. And then I had some pretty significant or serious health issues the very end of the year that kind of prevented me from keeping up with this. But we're getting back on track here now. Much love and appreciation, especially appreciation for everybody and their patience in this matter and your warm wishes. But it was erratic. So overall theme was back and forth, equal amounts of bulls and bear inflow and outflow, finishing roughly around the same price level as where we started. And you can see that's exactly what happened. The first day of the month, we're down here around 138.50-ish. Last day of the month, 138.06. I mean, and in between, we were all the way up here, 147. We were all the way down here, 127. So that's a good example of the change card. It's mixed with erratic behavior back and forth through the same price level, in the midst of which we revisit a crest that was recently a past opportunity. Sometimes it's actually a trough as well, or both. And it looks like it actually ended up being a trough here. But in either case, we had like a lowest low thus far here, turning into a highest high around the 9th, 10th. We saw another highest high happening around the 16th, and obviously that did not pan out. However, we did have kind of like an alternate here, where if it wasn't a highest high, it would be a lowest low. And you can see how we weren't far off there. The 16th, the 17th was the lowest low for the month. So we were the alternate was spot on. And sometimes that happens, the nature of the way that the system works. Occasionally there's like, you'll get like energies telling you a high and a low on the same date. Doesn't necessarily mean that's the case, and often isn't. But, you know, it's something to be aware of. So that's the alternate, and it does look like it played out pretty well for the alternate. On the 20th, we're back to a significant trough, almost back to lows. And then there was a possible high here around the 24th. Didn't come in quite high as high as the highest high, but it was pretty significant. And then I marked off that unicursal there. You can see the unicursal from the 24th. We immediately declined back below it. The fact that we're now up above it, and you can see this adjustment card, this is a great example of adjustment. It was kind of like leading us into the following month. So these ellipses, by the way, guys, if you're unclear as to what they are, the Nvidia chart, there's a link to this live updated TradingView chart in the Discord Trade Alert channel. Under the monthly subscription, there's the Discord Trade Alert channel right here. So in here at the top is a link to that chart. And whenever it's updated or whenever there's a trade, that stuff is in real time for anybody that has those services as part of the subscription. Again, these are game-changing services. I'll show you how to get that at the end of the video. So as far as the best trade, so there's a pretty solid trade here, guys. So provided we're at like a lowest low thus far on the 8th, like we should have a peak here, like a breakout into a peak at the end of the day on the 7th, and then a decline into a lowest low thus far here on the 8th, probably end of day. Provided we're there near lowest low thus far, I'd say that's a good place to open up a long. We're not going to be able to close it on the 9th. The 9th is actually, they made a holiday, like I mentioned earlier in the video. But you would very likely be able to close it on the 10th in the midst of a rally increasing with momentum moving forward in time. And there's several backup locations. If that doesn't end up being a good exit on the 10th, rule of thumb with SOMeta analysis is to take the first exit and move on. Who cares about leaving money on the table? You want to make money and move on to another profitable trade. But here on the 16th, this looks like it's probably a pretty big move to the upside. Maybe on the 10th as well. But that's one of the best trades that I see for the month of January. For the timing of the highest highs and lowest lows to the day, as well as the remaining trades that we expect to see. That's all part of the monthly access subscription. Guys, the way that you get that subscription, you go to our website, Tarot for Traders. Hover over Order Now. Click on Subscriptions. It's the monthly subscription. You're getting access to the monthly version, the paid version of all of these ticker and crypto right here. We cover them all monthly by the day with predicting highs and lows. It's a little choppy in the month of January just because of those health issues. But again, we're getting back on track quite quickly here. And so these are what you could expect to see. This should be USO. And then that gives you also the access to the live Discord trade alert channels for each of these tickers, as well as the S&P 500 and the live trading view chart links for that stuff. Game-changing services, highly recommended if you plan on trading this information. I do not recommend trading this information without these services, my friends. It's a lot more difficult than it looks. There's a lot more to trading than just knowing up and down. They're just this. So with that said, that's NVIDIA for January 2025. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. Blessings to all my angel investors. I'll see you guys on the next one.